has to do with, you know, stripping the judgment and also have that level of humbleness and sometimes those two, they don't go, and how is it viewed by other people, yet they can really be incredible and impactful in their message, and they can
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am Brenda Kilhofer, and I am your cheap mama. You are listening on the Transform You Network, and today I have Ingrid Essawova, who is a spiritual and life recovery coach and intuitive. If she's not your favorite guest by now, I'm sure you realize she's my favorite guest by now. Don't tell anybody else that, okay? We were talking the other day, and we've got a pretty exciting topic we want to discuss today. We are going to talk about how, would be very influential leaders or even influential leaders and those people who are very influential and can create tons and tons of success, yet ego gets in the way. I know, Ingrid, tell the audience why that was on your heart. And if you want to share, I think most of them know you, but if it's a first time listener, share a little bit about you before you dive into that.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Hello, everyone. It is always a pleasure and honor to be here with Brenda. And again, as she said, my name is Ingrid Essawova. My company is Simply True. You can see it on simplytrue.com. And I am a spiritual life recovery coach and intuitive. My job is to get you to your soulful self. So yes, we are going to talk about ego and people that have influence amongst the community and masses, and how sometimes ego gets in the way, and how does that actually impact their day-to-day navigation, and how are they, is that for those influencers that are there to impact others, to move forward, to grow, to evolve, one would usually think it has to do with, stripping the judgment and also have that level of humbleness, and sometimes those two, they don't go, and how is it viewed by other people, yet they can really be incredible and impactful in their message, and they can really capture people's attention, and then boom, that ego goal comes right in, and it almost seems like when you're 20 steps ahead and then you're like 10 steps back. Have you ever experienced that, Brenda?
Oh my gosh, for sure. Absolutely. Like, I can feel like there are times where I just feel like everything is working in, my favor. It's just, things are easy. People are, you're meeting people and connecting with people. And right off the bat, like, that this is somebody that's going to be a big part of whatever it is you're doing. And then all of a sudden, it's almost like it's sucked right out of there. It's gone. It disappears. The relationship, either, that person may be changing their mind or backpedaling, or where initially that connection was so, how do I put it? So simple, so easy, so effortless. And you knew you were in sync, or even on stage, where all of a sudden, like, that everything coming out of your mouth in a presentation is just, it's like from somewhere else. It's so effortless. It's so simple. It's so easy. And then all of a sudden I might feel like I'm in my head and looking out like, okay, this isn't making sense to anybody. And it's almost an instantaneous.
Right. And you see, I think that there are two different aspects. One, when the ego is actually coming within yourself, that you are the one that is impacting others, whether it's a group of one or, I mean, a group of two, you and them, or, you know, a group of thousands. And
Right.
also, what is it when people go and see other speakers, other coaches, other influencers, and they have such an incredible message, and then you actually hear ego just come right out of there, and it just puts on the brakes. So it's just probably it goes right back again to maybe 3 podcasts that we had to go about expectations. When someone delivers such a powerful message of evolving and shifting, we kind of don't want to see ego somehow drop in right in. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about that it's very clear in their communication that people will definitely say, okay, well, that's a lot of ego. You know what I mean? That's just coming in. And then, of course, what you were saying, that how does ego affect us in our presentation and in our thriving? So actually, let's talk about that first. And then the other part, when actually we hear it from other speakers, when their ego totally takes up the room. So why is it again, it's that fear, right? You're, as you had said, Brenda, you're on stage, you're doing your thing, and then you think that you're not connecting as you wish you had, and then the ego comes in. But doesn't that really stem from your own faith, belief, and knowing?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's
So
you know, if you know, it comes from just letting that one flicker. I always, for me, from a scripture standpoint, it always makes me think of the faith, the mustard seed, right? You know, the faith of the mustard seed. But by the, you know, if you have that faith, but then on the flip side, the doubt, that one little, that tiniest bit of doubt, just like that, the mustard seed, right? Like you can know that, hey,
the mustard seed story. Am I behind the times? Have I been locked up way too long?
It's in one of the scripture, you know how Christ always tells his stories, and you know he compares faith to, you know, just the size of a mustard seed.
Is that like the pea and the princess and the mattress?
No, like moving, you know, it's just, you know, faith will move the mountain, right?
Of course.
And he uses the mustard seed because it's a simple, tiny seed.
Of course, it's just that little pebble in the shoe.
Right. I think the reverse is true. The doubt, like, you know, you can step out on in belief and be doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you look at somebody, and then this is, you know, ego, right? You look at somebody and maybe they're talking to somebody else and it has nothing to do with you, or maybe, you know, it has not, you know, or they're I don't know, maybe they're texting, and then instantly you know that doubt creeps in, and now you're making up a story that, oh, I'm boring, I'm this, I'm that, you know, and that's all ego, right?
Isn't that something? And then really that stems from the fact that we don't realize and we don't practice of understanding the package we signed up for. So if you're going to be a speaker, think of all the things that can occur on stage.
All of it.
One, you can totally forget what you're going to talk about.
I do that all the time. You know what? I do it all the time. Fall off a horse a couple times and you forget.
There you go. Oh my goodness. That's a whole backstory, by the way, guys. Oh
my gosh. Yeah.
Anyway. And the fact that, you know, you can forget, the fact that you're going to be seeing people, and you can also be getting energy from people like they disagree and they want to kill you right now. or or the fact that someone's texting, or someone is actually crying because they're right with you and they're so connected. Or you have people think that things are going to go a certain path, period.
Yeah.
So therefore, when another path creeps in, that is when the ego comes in.
Right. And then that all becomes this whole, I like to call it fact meaning thing. Fact is they're texting. What are you making it mean?
Correct.
Right?
That they're not interested in you. They don't agree with you. Or meanwhile, you have no idea what their story is and what's on the other side. They can be doing, hey, I'm off to the hospital, or someone's off to the hospital, help me out. Like, you don't know the story. Yeah, exactly. Or this is the greatest speaker that I'm listening to. That's it. You got to know her.
Yeah. Or I have a seat. I'm saving it for you. Hurry up, get here because this is incredible. You're missing out, right?
Correct. But we wouldn't think of that. Or I am bored out of my skull. Right. I wish I was out of here. But it really doesn't matter. So therefore, it's about the mission and being attached to, I have to send the message to everyone and everyone has to love me and everyone has to agree. No. If you're in there and you just capture one person that they just for a moment went, that's interesting. If you were able to shift just one thought in with one person during the whole time, you know what? You've done your job.
Right.
And even if you didn't, you know what? Leave after and go have a martini.
And it could be in those disagreements that, it's every little thing is like a little pebble in the water and the ripple effect, right?
Yes,
that disagreement could even become the catalyst for something absolutely beautiful.
What
and
disagreement?
Incredible.
What disagreement?
You just said that, if somebody disagreed with what you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe that disagreement in their mind could actually end up becoming the catalyst. Maybe that is exactly why you were there right then and there, because they needed to hear the opposite side. They needed to have a strong disagreement. And that little disagreement just, created this whole amazing catalyst of, purpose in their life or in somebody else's life as a result.
There you go. And I dropped the mic. Absolutely. So the moral of that part of the ego and influencers is it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who cares? Go out, do your stuff, send your message, have fun doing it. And remember, your only responsibility is to live in truth and light and give the message. If that's what you're supposed to do, is to give the message. Your attachment to the outcome of what they're going to think, what they're going to say, how is it going and all that's just not your thing. It's between them and their maker, and it's all good. You're just out there to give the message. And that's it. Keep it simple, people. Anything else, you're just complicating it way too much. Bye-bye, ego.
Absolutely. There are a whole bunch of things that you just said that made me think of a book that I'm reading. And I actually want to take us to a super quick break. And then we will come back and I want to talk about that and ask you some questions about it, because it was everything that you've said about ego in these last few minutes actually made me think about it. So we've got a quick break. We're actually breaking the show into 3 segments now instead of 2. So we've got 3 shorter segments, and that's why we're taking a break as quickly as we are. It seems fast. But I want to ask you some questions about that, because I think I'm hitting on something that could be really interesting. So we'll hear from our sponsors and be right back.
Hello, good people, and back for another break. When I tell you that I was ecstatic when I found out that my Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship, I did go buck wild. And this is exactly what Buck Wild Designs are doing. They are helping everyone go buck wild. They started by supporting the Milwaukee Bucks on their playoff run all the way to the NBA championship, but they have something brewing in the tank right now. They're going to be helping you go buck wild for your favorite team. So whether you are a hockey fan, baseball fan, football fan, you want to cheer on even the Bears, Buck Wild Designs will hook you up. They haven't rolled it out yet, but their website is in the making. So buckwildtshirts.com is where you can visit, get on their mailing list. You do not want to be last in line, because once they roll out, it will be hard. So make sure you check it out right now. buckwildtshirts.com. Let them know that Transform You Live show sent you right over. Your favorite boy, Marcus Hart.
Fun. All right, welcome back to the show. I am Brenda Kilhofer, your cheap mama. I'm here with Ingrid Essawova, and we were just talking about how ego gets in the way and stops influential people. And as Ingrid was talking about the ego, a visual came to me from a book I've been reading. And Ingrid, I don't know if you're familiar. Have you ever read the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
Oh my God, back in the 70s, right? Or
I think
80s.
so. I think it's been
80s,
around for a
80s.
long time. Yeah. And so as I was reading, as I've been reading the book, like the image that they give, because you're talking about, the energy and all of that, there's a visual representation of the character actually being able to see the energy exchange between two other characters. And he was actually even talking about it as in, I think in one of the cases, it was the parents and a child, but how the example was that we're actually feeding off of one another's energy, right? And we can either be giving energy to somebody else or taking energy from someone. And it shows like, people literally using that as a means of control. So by controlling, they're sucking the energy out of the
Energetic
person that they are,
Yes.
that they are controlling. And it kind of made me think, as you were talking about ego, it kind of made me, I kind of could connect with that visual, like, when somebody is, there's the difference of being, and we'll give the on stage example, right? The difference of being on stage. And as you said, there with that, I'm here to serve. I'm here to breathe life into whoever wants to hear the message. I'm here to get this message to whoever needs, wants, and desires the message. If it's one person, that's fine. If it's nobody this time, that's fine. But I know that that's what I'm supposed to do, versus I'm here and what is the audience giving back to me?
Correct.
And I think, to me, that, and if I'm wrong, or if there's a better explanation, or to me, that just almost kind of sums up the ego entirely.
It is.
Because the ego is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it takes from everything around it.
Correct.
Whether it's the pat on the back, the affirmation, and then you talk about people getting the big head, right?
Correct. And bottom line, it's fear. And bottom line, it's actually a celebration, because it's telling the person, hey, you're being triggered. That means there's a wound. And here's an opportunity to evolve and to shift. Do your work. Do your work. And yeah, exactly. That's the thing, that when you're disconnected from yourself, you're connected to everything outside of yourself. And that's when you have that energetic exchange in terms of being that energetic vampire. that you're just sucking out everything from everyone, and you're leaning on that emotional pillar because
Mhm.
there's no connection from within.
So, and I'll preface this, all of our listeners are influential leaders in some area of their life. Whether they're a
Absolutely.
mom influencing their children, whether they're a school teacher influencing a classroom, whether they're a business person, entrepreneur, no matter what walk
Everyone.
of life they're in, everybody has influence in
Correct.
some way, shape, or form. So I just want to make sure our listeners know that, yeah, we're talking to you, no matter
That's
who you
right.
are.
We're talking to you.
So, what if I'm listening, if we're listening, and I want to learn as well. So, Ingrid, how do I know? Like, what signs, what energy am I feeling? How do I know that, I am connected to myself, or, oh, you're not so connected to yourself and it's your ego? Like,
Oh,
in
so easy.
this conversation, at what, what signs do I want to be aware of?
In this conversation, as a influencer of any sort, that when you're giving a message to another person, correct? It's in this conversation. But then again, I think the answer is universal, the same for no matter what conversation we're talking about. It is very simple. And you know why it's simple? Because truth is simple and everything else is complicated. So when you are connected to yourself, there is no fear, doubt, hesitation. I did say doubt, didn't I? Yes, I did. Frustration, disappointment, stress. It doesn't exist. Because when you're connected to yourself, everything is perfect. Because everything is perfect. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. There's no judgment on it. When you're disconnected from yourself, here comes the fear, here comes the doubt, here comes the uncertainty, the frustration, and then suddenly the mindset starts shifting. So when you feel a level of unbalance, unalignment, and sweat, no, not necessarily sweat, then you know you're disconnected from yourself, and you know you're in the personality, and you know that you are in the ego. And again, this is a celebration. This is not a judgment. This is a level of awareness, because this is what needs to, this is an opportunity to shift. And this is why we're here on this plane.
Right.
Because given opportunities to go, oh my God, that really impacted me. Okay, very good. I guess I have to do some work. And you just go right on. Because the way I look at it, I honestly, and I say this to my clients all the time, who cares? Honestly, with everything, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Therefore, you're not holding on so tight. So then you're controlling. Manage, navigate. When you manage, there's flexibility. So go with the flow. Have a lot of fun. Please don't take yourself so seriously. Have some humor in it. Laugh your head off. Not everyone's going to love you. That's okay. And if you have, and if you're impacted by that, that I love the word impact. Have you noticed that? That's my verbal tick. Impact. Anyway, see, I'm going with the flow. So when you are affected by that, that you are in ego. So every time, and if you feel joy and content and feel content, then you know that you are connected to self. And I just had a thought. Do you remember how I said that there's two of these topics we're going to talk about today? One is if you are yourself doing, if you're on stage and you are the one who's doing the influencing, and then ego sets in. And for when you are the audience and you're observing someone else doing it, and they are in ego and they're just loving themselves, they feel content and joy, yet that's ego. So if they have a big, let me judge it for a moment. If they're, because that's the language that humans understand, when there's a big head about something, they're not feeling at a discord. They're feeling fantastic. They're feeling proud of themselves. And that's joy. So therefore, are they connected to the soulful self, or are they connected to, or are they disconnected? And the thing is that the ones that often you are egotistical, and I'm in the place of judgment one more time that you can hear, oh wow, how wonderful am I by doing this? Are they talking about me? Wow, I thought they were talking about someone else for a moment. That's pretty impressive. You know what I mean? So when we're hearing things like that, they're feeling fantastic, and they're feeling balanced, and they're feeling aligned. So how is one supposed to know? But then I would say to them, take that out of your speech. Are you yourself? It was just like when I was 15 years old, and this really dates me, my mother gave me, or my parents gave me for Christmas, Merle Norman, my first makeup kit. Just a little thing that you have your blush and your eyeshadow and your lip gloss. Okay, it's back and way in. And I just loved it. It was my first makeup experience. And then one day I couldn't find it. I'm like, Mom, I can't find my Merle Norman thing. She's like, I took it away. And I go, why'd you do that? And she goes, until you can go in the middle of the Eaton Center, which is in Toronto, by the way, it's one of the largest malls in the world. If you can go in the middle of the Eaton Center and be without makeup and be absolutely yourself, you can have this back. And even though back then I wasn't who I am today, in terms of the level of awareness and all that, I got it right there and then. I go, okay, that's fine. I got it. Yay. I love it. You don't have to give it back to me. It's okay. I'll do it. She goes, okay, here. I go, what? So the thing is that the whole lesson was, can you survive without saying those words? Do you have to say it in every speech? Do you have to bring it up in every conversation in terms of the ego things on how of even
well, and
name
I think
dropping?
And I think that's, you bring up the being on the stage, and whether, certainly there are people that are there and they're in 100% in alignment with their purpose, and in ego at the same time, right? Like because they get in their head, they get disconnected from that purpose.
And again, we're talking about two things here. We're talking about they get into their head that self sabotages them. That's one path. And then the other one is ego, where they get a big head, and it's the opposite.
So two different paths. There's the self-sabotage and there's
ego.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Tell me more.
So I am familiar with a speaker that you know as well that has brilliant messages out there. Brilliant, beautiful. Just the way this person can reach the audience and really has something to say. Bless their heart. Honestly, we're so blessed to have this person. But every 15 minutes, there has to be that opposite self-sabotage. There has to be the big head look at me. And some people can say, well, that's just a narcissist. Can be.
Yeah.
So therefore, are we really talking about a condition that really can't be helped?
Mhm.
Or are we talking about, but I think that we know many. Oh, but then that's the side of sabotage. So I was going to say there are many people that name drop constantly and what they do and all that. You know, I can do a whole list of, what I have, what I did and stuff like that. I never ever mention it because
Mhm.
I don't need to.
Right.
I don't need to because I don't need to lean on it. And I feel those that do, they have to lean on it. It's a little bit different if
Mm.
you're going for a job interview and you have to put down all your credentials because
Right.
you want to get the job and you have to put that. But how people lean on what they've accomplished, what they've done, their title, they lean on their
Mhm.
titles and everything that goes with it.
Right.
And many times I ask clients, okay, let's strip your title of being an attorney. Let's strip your title of being the head of this and this. How do you feel? They go naked, very
Wow.
vulnerable.
Mhm.
I don't think I can manage being me without saying those things.
Right.
And that's the society that we are growing up in because there's so many expectations and the credibility has to be there, and that's how we feel confident, and that's how we feel that we can belong. And how does that serve us? Because what if you're suddenly stripped of your title for whatever reason?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a great breaking point for us. And let's talk about those, the titles versus our beingness and who we are as soon as we come back from a break.
Done.